Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Unquestionably Raw podcast. So week 2 in the NBA is over with, and so we're going to kind of give a little bit of a recap of a couple teams that we wanted to cover that some had good weeks and some not so much, and we're also going to cover our top performers of the week and the worst of the week, and then give you a couple predictions for some of the games. One or two this evening that are going to be the late games, a couple tomorrow evening, and then a couple on Wednesday evening. We will have another podcast Wednesday evening, so we're not going to go all the way through the rest of the week. So kicking it off, I'm going to go to Matt, and we're going to talk about the New York Knicks. So, Matt, what you got?
Oh, well, so we all know Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah, they went back to Chicago, looked fantastic. You know, the ball movement was good. And just I thought they would win that game. It didn't surprise me. I knew Rose and Noah would do their thing going back home just to stick it up their ass that game. But then yesterday they play the Utah Jazz. First half they look fantastic. The ball movement's there. But then, and you could hear, I don't know if you guys saw it, but every time Carmelo Anthony had the basketball, it was ISO every time. And the crowd was getting on him. And if he was making shots in that first half, which is why they were able to sustain that lead. But once he started missing shots, it just got ugly. And this is the Knicks' problem. When they move the ball, it's not Derrick Rose. He actually passed the ball. I mean, he did the jump, pass shit that he does that Gonzo talks about. But for the most part, he's making a conscious effort to get other guys the ball. But then you have Carmelo Anthony just stopping everything. And it's hurting Porzingis, and it's just – it looks horrible, and they're not fun to watch. There's just everybody standing, and I just don't understand what they're doing with this guy. They're going to have to move him because this can be a good team. We saw it Friday. We saw it in the first half against a good Utah team, getting Gordon Hayward back, so they can be a good team. But Carmelo Anthony just refuses to buy into what they're trying to do. It's like, well, I got Rose now. When I get it now, I just have to shoot it every time I touch it because I might not get it back. Too bad. Do you want to win or do you want to score points?
Yeah, it's been kind of awful to watch at times on the defensive end. But before I go into kind of detail, I want to hear from you, Gonzo. What did you think of the Knicks kind of throughout the last 2 weeks, so to speak?
I think the biggest problem is Carmelo Anthony. And I think Carmelo Anthony is an athletic player. He has all the post moves, but I don't think he's a smart basketball player. I think he's just good at scoring, and that's it. I kind of dismissed a lot of Derrick. I really didn't give Derrick Rose the credit that he deserved, okay? I looked at his assist numbers and saw they were down. And the more I watched a lot of Knicks games, and I've been watching a lot of Knicks games on our League Pass, and I'm starting to realize that Derrick Rose is the problem. Because when him and
he's not.
Because when him and Porzingis are running the pick and roll, pick and pop, and he's sharing the ball with Courtney Lee and Joakim Noah, it's like Derrick Rose can get double-digit assists. He can get it. And get it 16. He could possibly get 18 to 20 points. I think the biggest problem is that when you hand the ball into a guy who ISOs a lot, a guy like Carmelo has to turn around, do all these post moves, and by the time he makes the shot, he's not even getting credit for an assist now because he's done so many moves after the pass that you don't even get credit for an assist. Not to mention, I saw a video the other day, just to change the subject 1 second. I saw a video the other day, and they showed that Porzingis and Derrick Rose are running the pick and roll. Now, Joakim Noah, against the Bulls, he went wide, like to the corner. And that was to push Taj Gibson out of the hole. Mm-hmm. So once Derrick Rose came off the screen, he was heading to the basket. But he could also have Porzingis rolling to the basket as well. The problem in that whole play is that Carmelo Anthony was on the post, on the block, wanting the ball to ISO. So he didn't move out the way to pull his man from the hole. So the moment Derrick Rose gets into the paint, Carmelo's man is able to leave Carmelo and slide over and play help defense on D Rose because Melo's not smart enough to open up that lane for Porzingis and Rose by spreading wide because he's worried about getting his own points. Mm-hmm. And Carmelo's the problem. I've been saying this for years. I think people think that scoring is what makes you a great basketball player. We're in an era now where the scoring is what's going to make the highlight reel. Nobody's going to talk about the defense. There's only maybe one defensive player I can honestly name who's made it into the Hall of Fame, right? Dennis Rodman. Even Bill Russell, he averaged 16 points a game, averaged 22 rebounds, and shot like 42%. But Dennis Rodman's the only person who primarily played defense who made it to the Hall of Fame, right? So defense is not really a thing that people really pay attention to. But I think that if you're going to be a great scorer, you got to have some type of great defense. Even Durant now, and I've never seen Durant as being a great defensive player. Durant's actually playing really good defense. LeBron James,
he has no choice on this Golden State team.
LeBron James plays good defense. James Harden even plays defense at times, and he's kind of good at it. He
shows he's a capable defensive player.
I think James Harden he plays defense depending on the competition. You know, even Steph Curry. Steph Curry's not a great man-to-man defender, but he knows how to get in the passing lanes and get those steals at times.
He's very John Stockton-like on defense.
Yes. Even what's his name? Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is a good man-to-man defender. So, you know, all the good players seem to be good man-to-man defenders, or they've increased their game to some degree to say, okay, I got to play a little bit of defense in order to give us a chance to win. Melo's worrying about scoring and scoring only. And I think the biggest thing of the Knicks, what they need to do is if you could find a way to get that no trade clause off of there and get rid of them, I prefer for the offense to be ran through Porzingis. I think a 7'3" guy who can handle the ball, who can shoot, who can rebound, has a few post moves. I think honestly he can be a bigger threat right now, and he's younger.
Yeah. You saw what they did when he got into the foul trouble yesterday in the first half. But in that first quarter, he picked up the second. It was like 4 or 5 minutes to go. He had 14 points. Rose and him they look really comfortable playing together. But then Carmelo gets it, and it's just dribble. And the crowd was on him. Pass the ball. Even Clyde Frazier and Mike Breen were talking about it. The crowd is getting on Carmelo Anthony, telling him to pass the ball. They know it. And we know fans can be stupid. They don't always know what they're talking about. But they know it's clear to anybody who's watching the Knicks play that Carmelo Anthony's just ball stopping. The offense just completely stops when he touches the ball. And his teammates know he's not passing it.
That's the bad thing and the main thing I worried about with Jeff Hornacek coming in as a coach. Because is Carmelo Anthony really going to look at Hornacek and say, you're going to be able to make me change my game? No, that's not going to happen. So in order for Carmelo to take a step back, basically he's going to have to be on another team with a team of superstars kind of on the team for him to take a step back. This is his team in his mind, even though we all know it should be Porzingis' team. They should go ahead and make the transition. They're not going to this year. And that's going to be the downfall of the Knicks, is because Hornacek's not going to be able to hold Carmelo accountable. Phil Jackson's not going to step in. Deep down, I think Phil Jackson somehow likes a little chaos. And so he's going to allow it. But if you watched, Gonzo, the play that you're talking about, if Melo would have gone to the corner, Porzingis would have been, wide open for a, pick and pop at the top of the key. Easily could have made that shot. That's where, you have the option of Porzingis can roll inside and score with an easy bucket, or he could pop from the outside. And the thing about it is, if you put Derrick Rose in transition with his speed and his ability to change, speeds at will and actually handle the ball, Porzingis can run. That's going to be, a highlight for the team. Even Joakim Noah can pass. You've got Carmelo Anthony getting the ball, clapping 4 or 5 times for the ball, running on the perimeter. It's like, why don't you set a screen for Derrick Rose so he can drive the lane and kick it out to somebody that's open? Do something that's going to adjust the.
Carmelo Anthony should know. Usually, the guy who sets the screen is the guy who is the one who ends up wide open.
Right, and he just doesn't. He doesn't think in those terms. It's always been me, 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 me. Even go back to his Denver Nuggets days. Allen Iverson on the team. It was me, 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 me. Then, and yes, it was Carmelo's team and all that. That's great, but at the end of the day, you want to win a championship like you say you do. You pass the torch and play as a team.
You being a Sixers fan, Pete, you'll you might not appreciate this, but he reminds me a lot of Allen Iverson in that he does not play with other scorers well. He can't play with other guys who can score. Because Iverson, remember, they had Tim Thomas, Larry Hughes, Stackhouse. They had to trade all of them away. It doesn't seem like Carmelo can play. Porzingis is going to be a great scorer. Rose is a great scorer. Courtney Lee can score a little bit. He can't play with these guys.
And go back to when he was jealous of Jeremy Lin when Linsanity blew up.
Mm-hmm.
He hated it because he felt like, well, this is not my team, all that stuff. Why don't you be excited for your teammate? The team is really winning. Like, come on.
And look how they looked in the first half yesterday and against the Bulls. They looked like a team that that I thought they would be, a team who could win 50 games and finish second. They'd be a tough team to defend if he does what he's supposed to do, but he doesn't want to. They're
going to finish towards the 7 to 10 range, I think.
If they do this all year. Yeah. If they can find a suitable trade partner.
Derrick Rose, Derrick's not going to be able to lead a team, as a point guard full time, and then, Joakim Noah just doesn't have it. No, it's Carmelo. Year after year, it's been Carmelo.
Mm-hmm.
And it's when does New York?
When he first went to New York, he couldn't play with Stoudemire.
He can't play.
He can't.
And Stoudemire we know what kind of season he had before.
He was a top 2 or 3 candidate for MVP before they had Melo, and they were winning.
Right.
They were like 4th in the East, and then Melo came and it screwed everything up.
Yeah. Well, let's go into a team that's actually looked really good this year. Gonzo, I'm going to you. Let's talk about the LA Lakers. What do you like from the Lakers that you've seen so far?
They have good hustle. When they're moving up-tempo offense. Not to mention, they're very balanced. Mm-hmm. They have a lot of scoring, they have a lot of scoring from the starting five. They got D'Angelo Russell, Lou Alding, Nick Young. Those guys can score in the starting five. Then you got Lou Williams. Then you have Jordan Clarkson. A couple of nights you had Tarek Black.
Mm-hmm. Brandon Ingram.
You know what I'm saying? So you're getting a lot of it's like half and half. They're splitting it. So and a lot of guys aren't getting too tired carrying the weight because the weight is evenly distributed. You know what I'm saying? Amongst the young guys. And like I said, I think they have a good coach. And I think the reason why they beat Golden State the other night is because not only are they young and hungry and they have hustle, but Luke Walton's a good coach and he kind of knows the Golden State scheme. So he kind of knows what they're going to do. So he knows how to counteract. And I think right now, at first I was saying, that they would make the playoffs. I mean, if they keep this pace up in every game like this.
Because they've beaten 2 good teams. They beat a good Atlanta team and they beat Golden State.
And they beat Golden State and they beat Atlanta. I'm quite sure they can beat Houston. I'm quite sure they can beat Sacramento. Like, these are teams they can beat regularly if they keep their head in the game and they keep hustling. And like I said, passing the ball and just distributing the offense from the starters to the bench. Mm-hmm. They can do it. They can make an A seed in the West. Not to mention New Orleans is not that good at all. Denver's not that good.
The Kings
aren't that good. Minnesota's not that good.
Phoenix,
they're not that good. So they can actually. Dallas is awful right now.
I think LA's better than Memphis right now.
Yeah. So you see, so I think that they could possibly make a playoffs.
LA Lakers fans weren't so delusional after all.
I feel like if they follow Luke Walton and the plan he has set in place, they'll be very successful, and they might actually overachieve this year. Mm-hmm. And at the same token, they're overachieving, but it's also making them better because they're actually playing good team ball. If you watch them, they're playing as a team. You don't see selfishness on the court. You don't see guys complaining. It just seems like a lot of guys. They're all bought into the system, and right now it's showing the fruits, man. They look really good. I'm impressed.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, what are you seeing?
I think the most important thing with this Lakers team this year, they've bought into what Luke Walton is selling, and they've bought into their roles. Everybody's playing their game. It doesn't seem like there's any jealousy going on, and you've seen the improvement. Yeah, I know Russell still has problems getting to where he wants on the floor, and Alex Campbell made a good point that he's a little too dependent on his jump shot right now, which is why you see the inconsistency. But he's improved. You can see it. Lou Aldang, great piece for this young Laker team. Mozgov's been fantastic for them. He can hit the jump shot, get some dunks, layups, play defense, rebound, all that good stuff. And then Julius Randle's been fantastic. Mm-hmm. So I think these guys and with all this young talent, the fact that they've bought into Luke's system, and then they bought into the roles he wants, that tells me he defined their roles in training camp. Everybody knows what they're supposed to do on this team. Nick Young's going to jack dumb shots up, but that's what they want him to do. And the other team, they don't care, and he's been good defensively for them. They've looked really good so far, and they're 4-3 right now, I believe, and their next, I want to say 5 games are against sub-500 teams. So yeah. You could be looking at a team who's that's 5. They're 4-3. I mean, they could be 8-5 or something like that.
Yeah,
off to a decent start. They're going to be a tough team for teams to beat. They played Utah tough in Utah last week. So even their losses, that you go into Utah, which is a tough place to play. You play them well. They're going to surprise a lot of people if they continue to keep this up. But we're 2 weeks in now. I don't see any reason why they can't. And Gonzo hit it. They're playing hard too.
Yeah, the thing about it is they last year they were 29th in pace. They're 3rd this season so far. Their offensive rating's gone all the way up to number 10. And then they're killing teams. I mean, they just run from the opening tip basically to the end of the game. They're running and being able to get up and down the floor. The movement of the ball has looked great. They're passing up shots that probably last year would have gone to Kobe Bryant and stuck and ended up, 50-50 chance he would have hit it or not. They're moving it around. Even guys that a lot of people were questionable about, like Timofey Mozgov, he's able to get up, run it down the floor, do the dirty work, set screens, get the rebounds he needs to get.
He's playing that Bogut role very well for this team.
Absolutely. And Julius Randle's a guy who really impressed me. He's a constant threat, to leak out on the fast break, get the ball and go. He can set up his teammates. Mm-hmm. With passes. I've seen a couple personally where it's like, wow.
He's the best playmaker. He's the best playmaker they've got.
Yeah, absolutely. Lou Aldang is kind of taking a little bit of that glue guy role, so it's keeping things smooth. And then the surprise of Nick Young is that, he's there to have offense, and that's basically what they need. You've got Jordan Clarkson killing basically most guys off the bench, Lou Williams coming off the bench, and then Brandon Ingram. Luke Walton has him playing the point guard a lot, being able to get the ball to a lot of the scorers as needed. And Tariq Black is playing well, kind of as a glue guy off the bench. Same with Larry Nance. So there's some pieces on this team. They're young. They're hungry. Luke Walton is treating the guys pretty much like their teammates rather than he's a coach. And it's working. So absolutely they can be, 8-5 after this next 5-game stretch easily, because some of the teams they're playing, they haven't brought it at all. You've got the Dallas Mavericks, Sacramento Kings, you've got the Pelicans. I mean, come on. The Timberwolves have struggled. So those will be easy wins. Brooklyn. Then they get into the heart of the schedule like the Spurs, the Bulls, where they might struggle, but they can at least rack up some wins and carry it through. Maybe they can beat one of those teams, the Spurs or Bulls, just off of that, basically not so much luck as in the past, but now just that, great spirit and the will to win, actually, rather than being a lottery team.
Mm-hmm.
All right, how about the Oklahoma City Thunder?
This team is actually, I know they haven't they beat the Clippers. Before that they hadn't beaten anybody before then. And I said it when we did we were previewing last week that game, and I believe I did call that one. I was wrong about Westbrook going nuts and getting triple-doubles and all that stuff, but I was not surprised because they're 4-0 going into that game. They had not beaten anybody at that point, and they wanted to prove, finally, we got a team that's good. They're many picked to finish second in the West, the Clippers. They went in there and beat them. They played defense, and they held it down. against that Clippers team who looks fantastic right now. That's their only loss they've had this year. And this team's looking like they can be that 4th seed. They're playing defense. They're getting, and I think the game they got blown out by Golden State, I was wrong on that one. I thought it'd be close. You guys were right with the blowout. I think that was kind of a trap game in a sense. You knew they were going to be amped. Golden State was going to be ready to go. Those guys had Kevin Durant's back. They weren't going to let him lose that game. But other than that, they're blowing Miami out tonight. This is a good team. I think Billy Donovan's getting these guys to buy in. Oladipo's doing some good things for them. Even against Golden State, they get blown up, but Oladipo's making threes. Now, if only they can get something out of Anthony Roberson. If they could get something from that wing position, this team could be really scary. And remember, they're without their backup guard right now, Cameron Payne. When he comes back, that's going to help them even more because he's better than Christian.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, they did get Jeremy Grant, who they're trying to play in minutes. So
yeah, I think he might end up – I will not be surprised if in the next month he's in that starting small forward role. I think he can do more defensively, I think, than Roberson. Yeah, he's just as good on the ball, and he blocks shots. Roberson sucks on offense, but Grant can get to the basket at least. You saw him dunk on KD.
Yeah, he's going to have to be able to be a better man-to-man defender. Yeah. I could see it to where Grant ends up probably playing more minutes overall than Roberson, but Roberson still stays in the starting lineup, kind of like a Sabonis kind of fill-in starter. Then he comes out, pretty quick, and then kind of plays sporadically throughout the game. I could see that. If Roberson doesn't pick it up on the offensive end. But basically, before you go, Gonzo, I want to definitely applaud you because you had the basically the quote of the podcast. Basically last Wednesday, it was "Don't let the stats fool you," more or less, with Russell Westbrook. So go ahead, Gonzo, and let me know what you think of the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Thunder fools go. They might actually make the playoffs due to the fact that there's so many bad teams like Dallas, Memphis, we mentioned, Minnesota. A lot of the bottom part of the West is really, really bad, so they might actually slide in just because they can beat all these bad teams. But a 4 seed, oh no way.
Give me the 4. I'm taking them. I'm buying.
Definitely a 7th to 8th seed. They're OKC's not a good team. They're not a competing team. Out in the first round. I mean, yeah, you have Russell Westbrook, but he does so much to take them out of the game just to bring them back. It's like he does so much stupid stuff throughout the course of the whole game, and he looks terrible. And all of a sudden, he hits a couple of jumpers at the end, and he finishes off with a triple-double, and it looks like he's done so much, but really he's the one who's dug the grave for him. So I don't really pay too much attention to that. I think if anything, they did run more the offense through Enes Kanter. Get them more involved and get Steven Adams.
Yeah, Steven Adams has a nice post game. They just don't give it to him enough.
And that's something. See, I'm gonna tell you something. One thing you can't teach is size, and one thing you can't teach is size, and especially if a person is gifted with their feet and they have post moves. Those are gifts. That's hard to just learn it because Steven Adams and Kanter seem like they're just natural at it. It's not something they think.
You know what it is? I bet Steven Adams played soccer when he was growing up.
He probably did because he's from Australia, right?
Yeah,
yeah. So his footwork is probably exceptional. I mean, Enes Kanter's footwork is really good in the post.
Look at Joel Embiid. He played soccer growing up.
Hakeem
Olajuwon. Yep. Steve Nash.
All these guys have great footwork, and that's something that comes easy for them. So you can utilize these guys. These guys are like 6'11" and 7 foot tall. There's no excuse why you can't utilize them more. And let's be honest, how many centers are there in the league that are just really, really dominant? Maybe DeMarcus Cousins, Anthony Davis, but I'm quite sure I'll take Steven Adams over Andre Drummond. I'll take Enes Kanter over Andre Drummond. So to me, they can actually be elite. You can use this height. You can use these guys with this type of skill, but I think more or less Russell Westbrook wants to prove he's the star, and ultimately he won't get a ring, so I'm not worried about it.
No, I don't. I actually predicted him to get knocked out in the first round. I'm still sticking with 4 seed though.
Yeah, I can't wait to see them play against a better teams. I want to see them play against the Spurs and play against Portland.
But they did. You have to give them. They beat a Clipper team who's playing well this year. I mean, Clippers. They blew Utah out. They've beat people this year, and OKC went in there and beat them in Los Angeles. That's a good win.
I'm gonna tell you
That's a
something.
good win.
The Clippers. One thing the Clippers didn't do in that game is they didn't use JJ Redick a lot. They weren't really throwing the lobs to DeAndre Jordan like they usually do. It's just they actually played a very, very slow pace. It's almost like they tried to play half court basketball. That's not the Clippers.
No.
Clippers is a fast paced
It's
team.
one of those teams that's tough for them because they got big Steven Adams there. He's not letting that Lob City shit happen.
I mean, I get
Lob
it.
City's not happening on Steven Adams.
I mean,
You're getting fouled.
Me in the series, I'm taking the Clippers in a 6 easily against OKC because Russell Westbrook's going to get in the way.
Billy Donovan's going to have to save him from himself.
Yeah, that's it. And you know what? Ultimately, that's why KD left. It wasn't like KD just up and left OKC because he was tired of OKC. No, he got tired of this fucking Westbrook.
He knew he was not going to win. He was not going to win a championship in Oklahoma City.
He was not. He was never going to win a championship in OKC.
You know, I want to touch on that real quick. You know, because with the Warriors and all, people are still kind of going at. You kind of see it from time to time. People going at Durant on Twitter. You know, and you always bring up, well, what about Bird and Magic? They never left because they got drafted into great situations. That's why they never left. I guarantee you, if the Bulls didn't have Scotty and Horace and all, Michael would have probably got frustrated.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant got drafted into a great situation. These guys that did, Tim Duncan, this dude wins an NBA championship his second year. Of course he didn't leave. Like, let's not bring out Kawhi Leonard. He's not going. He got drafted into these guys won titles early, at an early age.
You know, some people spend their whole careers trying to get one ring, and these guys get it like right away.
Exactly,
I mean,
and that's the difference. When they bring all that crap up, no, those guys were drafted into great situations. I guarantee you, those guys would have wanted to leave too. Especially because championships are big on your legacy now, and these guys know that. They know they get knocked down a notch just because they don't have a ring.
Yeah, the thing I'm going to look for out of the Thunder is when we get later in the year, things settle down, because Russ is going to put up major numbers this week. They're playing the Orlando Magic. They're playing the Clippers again. They're playing the Raptors. You know, they're playing Miami tonight. They're blowing Miami out. And so what true test of a defensive guard is Westbrook facing against any of those teams? Outside of, CP3, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
None. So he's not really getting tested. What I want to look for out of Oklahoma City is, what is the rest of the team doing? What is Russ doing to make those guys better? What is he doing to elevate the game, getting Andre Roberson going so he can get something on the offensive end, worrying about later in the year? I don't give a damn that you average a triple-double, 33 points and 10 assists and 10, rebounds, whatever. So what? What is your team going to be able to do against good teams and beat that adversity?
You know who's making his teammates better is James Harden. I'm going to say James Harden makes his teammates better.
He put up, 32 and 15 dimes? And that's tonight. 32, 15, and 6 in a win. So everybody, including myself, because I've said it many times that James Harden on the defensive end is awful. He actually has looked engaged on some plays. Now, some plays he looks like the same old James Harden. But
you got to start baby steps. He's making improvement. You got to take it. It's got to start somewhere.
He's making his teammates better. He's thriving in that offense. Houston is being able to win games. Now they're losing some games in bad fashion as well. But Russell Westbrook, I love my 76ers and I stand by them. But if Oklahoma City wouldn't have beat the Sixers in that game, something's wrong. They should beat the Orlando Magic. They should beat the Toronto Raptors, who I think are a very fraudulent team, and DeMar DeRozan's not going to be able to keep those numbers up as the year goes on. Teams like that, they should beat Miami, who's a young team. So what true test is he really getting? I want to see him play the Spurs, the Warriors again.
The Warriors did a beautiful job of defending him.
And that's the thing. He cannot keep that pace up of bully ball, basically barreling through the lane and just doing whatever he wants, all season long. It's just not going to be Yes, you can get your individual stats, but you're not going to get a team win, and that's what's going to
smart defensive teams are going to wall him off because they know he's just going to force everything and not use his teammates, and that's what the Warriors did to him.
Right.
And you could tell, and they used his energy against him because you could tell he wanted it that game. He was ready, but they used that against him.
Yeah, and the thing about it is once teams can effectively, basically they'll realize sooner than later you don't really have to guard Sabonis. You're not going to have to guard Roberson, and so you're able to throw a double team at Westbrook and be able to stop him on the offensive end. He's not going to be able to make key assists because a lot of his assists, Gonzo, as you've alluded to before, are lucky passes that just happen to squeak through or somehow are like athletic plays that end up in a bucket just by accident. So long term, it's just not going to work for the Thunder. I still say they end up making the playoffs just because I don't think teams like Phoenix, the Pelicans, any of those teams, even Dallas, I think they're going to be better than their record is right now, but I just don't think they sneak in. I don't think Minnesota is able to sneak in this year. So by default, they're going to get one of those last spots. But, it's going to come down to teams like Utah. Now that they're mostly healthy, sans Alec Burks out and George Hill was out, tonight. For the most part, they're healthy again. They're going to be a top team because they very well constructed. So, I just don't think the Thunder are going to be a top team. I don't see them blowing out of Portland or blowing out of Utah in 4 out of 7 games. I don't think they have enough. But
no.
Let's jump over to the Eastern Conference and talk a little Chicago Bulls. Matt, going to you. So we got to see, kind of a sharp shooting perimeter change, to begin with the team, and now it's just like, like you said in the pre-show, nobody likes each other anymore.
Yeah, that's what it looks like out there. They're not helping each other out on defense. I mean, they're giving up. They look better tonight. I mean, they're up 90-63, but they're playing a young Orlando team. But the shots stopped falling. They stopped playing defense, and it just was the chaos that we all thought it would be. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why. I don't know why they would hate it. I mean, I guess that just when you start missing shots and winning solves everything. You win the first 3 games. Oh, we love each other. Now your shots aren't falling. And you're getting blown out, and it's like, oh, now we hate each other. So right. I think this team has a lot of work to do. I think they can still be decent. They can still be a pretty good team. They showed they can. They were defending those first 3 games. Now they're not defending. Tonight they are, but like I said, it's Orlando. So we'll see what they do this week. It'll be interesting. I think it's too early to say whether they're a playoff team or not right now. Last week, we talked. They look like it could be a top 3 team, and now it's like, well, are they even going to make the playoffs? I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle, what we saw and what we're seeing now. I think they'll still probably squeak in, but they've got to get together. They got to play better defense because the defense was awful the 3 straight losses.
I just wonder long term, like playing Dwayne Wade that many minutes, is his body going to be able to hold up throughout the season? So when you have to rest him and sit him for, say you play, 3 games in 5 nights, you sit him for one of those games, the team doesn't really have a lot of great scoring outside of Wade kind of taking over from what I've seen. Taj just stepped up and of course Jimmy, but Rondo's not a scorer, so you're relying on McDermott, Mirotic, and Cannon basically as your scorers off the bench. So they've got to carry you to make up for Wade kind of missing that game. That's what I worry about.
I think they can. Every now and again they can. McDermott is a capable scorer. He'll be fine. He'll score. He'll get buckets. So I think they can do it. If Wade's got to take a game off here and there, I think they can cover for him.
Yeah, I hope so. Gonzo, you see anything out of the Bulls you like or dislike?
I like the first 3 games they were playing defense, but I think it was just the fact they were hitting a lot of threes, more so than the defense. I think a lot of times you see teams scoring a lot, you actually think they're playing good defense. No, they're just outscoring people. I'm gonna tell you the biggest problem I've seen. And I think the reason why they might be upset at each other. That Boston game when they went into Boston last week, they had cut the lead from like 15 or 16.
They had a chance to take the lead when Nico went to the line and he missed both the free throws.
He did, but the score was still like they were only down by 4 points, and it was like they had just got the ball back. They had somehow somebody took the ball out of bounds. They got the ball back with like 15, 14 seconds on the shot clock. And Rajon Rondo dribbled, and pulled up right inside the 3-point line for a long two. And I mean, it clanked the rim badly. Like he should not have been shooting that shot. And when you looked at the countenance on Dwayne Wade's face and Jimmy Butler's face, it looked like, dude, like you should not have taken that shot. Like that was a terrible shot because he didn't pass to anybody. He just pulled up with a bad jumper. And then, if I'm not mistaken, I think Boston went on the other end and scored 2 points like immediately. So I think it's a case of they're taking some players who shouldn't be taking shots are taking shots too. The wrong players are taking the wrong shots at the wrong times. Keep the offense running through D Wade and Butler. Obviously, Rondo should not be shooting shots. It's like saying I'm going to give the green light to Michael Carter Williams to shoot 7 threes. No way. I don't want you shooting those shots. That's not good for you. Go to the basket, draw fouls or something, get your points. But again, I think possibly it could be another thing that might affect him too. Is might be Dwayne Wade's age. He's getting older. He probably won't be able to play these type of minutes as the season progresses.
No.
And then you got to think about this. Once his minutes become short, that's like 10 and 12 points you're going to be missing now because, he's probably like number 2 scorer on the team, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna need Doug to become that number two guy.
Yeah, Taj is 31. He's getting old too.
Him.
I like Taj though. He's actually been playing really good this year for the most part. Better than what I expected. Like I say, Jimmy's young. I mean, Jimmy, you can probably forgive him. I mean, just a tad bit, but like I say, I mean, I said maybe 3 seed. I mean, I know they didn't make the playoffs because the East is kind of bad, I guess, towards the bottom. They can make a 7 to 8 seed. I'm still sticking with my guns, Eastern Conference Finals, though.
Yes, just like I'm sticking with the Knicks number 2. I'm sticking with it. I can't bail.
It's alarming to me, some of the teams, though, that have been – like, because we do our predictions, and obviously we aren't, like, the experts, and I don't think anybody in the media is a true expert, but looking at some of the teams – overall, like I totally missed because I thought the Bulls were going to be just awful coming out of the gate, and I thought that a team like Indiana would be really good, and Indiana's looked bad. Jeff Teague
they got blown out again tonight.
Yeah, Jeff Teague has just looked horrible in that system, and then Thaddeus Young hasn't fit that great, and you've got young bright spots in Miles Turner and things like that, but. It's just bad. And then you've got teams where, like the Lakers, they surprised me. Even Sacramento has been better than I thought they would be.
Absolutely.
So you just never know as far as, predictions go. And we're only, this is the 3rd weekend, so a lot can change. I definitely want to do a big evaluation show, like a mid-season around the All-Star break and just kind of break down what our predictions were and just kind of, what was good, what was bad out of our analysis. But speaking of good and bad, Gonzo, I'm going to go to you. Give me – it doesn't have to be a certain number, but just give me a performer or two that you think maybe was good or bad or, throughout the week. It could be a team as well. It doesn't have to be an individual player.
Okay. Well, I got three people that I think have been really good. And then I'm going to give you 3 bad as well. George Hill, been excellent with the Jazz. Loving that. I think that's a good acquisition for the Jazz. And it's showing in their play. He's really been a contributor to that team, and I think they'll most definitely make the playoffs. The second player I wanted to add was who was it? I was just thinking. Well, it wasn't LeBron. I'm trying to remember now. I'm sorry.
As far as
Damian Lillard, again, he's been really good. Even though he had a little off night the other night, but I mean he's been consistent and very well. Kawhi Leonard's been really good. Now, the bad. I'm going to go with this, even though the stats, Russell Westbrook. I have to go with that.
Here we go.
Russell Westbrook has been. Klay Thompson has been really, really bad. And the Washington Wizards are awful.
Yeah, they
like.
so.
One more person too. I got to put this person out there on blast. I know the team is like 0-5, 0-6. Gerald Henderson has to be the dumbest when it comes to late. He really thinks he's the guy.
Yes, he does.
He makes a lot of bad decisions. Like even that game against OKC, that very first game. I keep going back to that. That just.
Oh man, I don't know.
Oh, he came off that screen and just tried to force it.
Gerald Henderson is now. He's the new Aaron. He's last year's Aaron Aflalo.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing about it with Gerald Henderson is, I mean, he had a good, decent run with Charlotte, but you're there to basically be a veteran and help your young team. If Embiid's got the hot hand, the crowd is screaming in the game against OKC, give Embiid the ball. And you sit there, I don't know what the hell you would even say that was, that he tried to ISO at the end of the game, and it's like, come on.
And that was like a key possession because they were only down by like 2.
Right.
So all they needed to do was get 2 points. And I'm quite sure because Embiid was going to the line quite a bit.
Yeah.
I would have gave him the ball. He could have either scored or went to the line for 2 free throws. And he's actually a good free throw shooter.
Right.
Gerald Henderson went in traffic like he was Superman and think he's going to out-jump people like his Duke days.
Right.
And got it swatted. Like it was just the dumb. And he's making. I mean, when you watch the highlights, he's making these like dumb decisions like late in the games often. Like he really thinks he's the guy. And I'm sorry, Philadelphia fans, coaches, if you're out there listening to the podcast, Embiid is the guy for that team. Period.
Absolutely.
It's just what it is. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He is the guy. That guy's good. He's talented. Period.
Once January comes, Embiid will get his minute limit taken away, and I can't wait to see him play, 33 minutes a game, hopefully, somewhere in that range. And then we can get Ben Simmons back healthy. I can't wait. They're definitely – I'm an optimistic Sixers fan. I don't care if we're not winning games right now. Just develop the youth. Even Stauskas has looked good at times. So as long as we can get the younger guys, some minutes and get them – playing the right way, that's what matters. Gonzo, going back to the Wizards real quick, they got smacked by the Houston Rockets. Again, the score was a little bit closer than kind of the game necessarily looked. But with Scott Brooks there at the helm, I definitely think they've taken a step back. Many people in Washington blamed Randy Whitman last year for kind of the schemes and just saying that, it wasn't kind of the best that you could see out of John Wall and Bradley Beal. But until the last 2 games, Beal struggled, shooting like 30% from 3. John Wall's had to carry him through, most games. And they're not getting anything out of the bench at all. Marcus Thornton, who I know is your favorite guy, Matt.
God, let's not start on him.
2 for 10 in 17 minutes.
That's what he does.
They refuse to let Sheldon McClellan get in there, who can score at will. Give him a shot. Let Andrew Nicholson, who lit it up in the preseason, let him play over Jason Smith. Let's see what minutes he can get. Let's see Satoransky play, all of the backup minutes at point guard instead of trying to ease Trey Burke back in to get some play. Trey Burke is awful. He's going to be a third-string point guard anywhere he goes. You might as well put him in the Shane Larkin category. Let him go overseas. Let him try to resurrect his career and go from there. Now, granted, the Rockets are a hard team to guard because of James Harden and, how quickly they get up and down. But the Wizards, they just can't stay in ball games. They get jumped on pretty early, and that's why they're 1-5. So they're going to be bottom dwellers in the East for sure. Matt, what are some key performances by either some teams and what's some bad ones?
I'm going to stick to – I got 4 guys I want to talk about for top performers. This one's for Lance out there. Harrison Barnes. How fantastic has this guy been? Mm-hmm. And we thought Dallas had a chance to get to the playoffs if he became the guy that they wanted, and he has done exactly and then some. The problem with this Dallas team is Dirk and Darren Williams are hurt. Got some injuries. I think once those guys come back, Dallas will creep up in the standings. Like you said, Pete, they're not as bad as their record suggests.
Right.
Dirk's out a couple weeks. Don't know when Williams will be back. Hopefully soon. Lance can probably put that in the chat room. He can let us know when Williams will be back. But, I mean, J.J. Barea is playing well. They beat a good Milwaukee team yesterday. And that gets me to the second person I want to talk about, Jabari Parker, looking way more aggressive this last week on the offensive end. I still think he's the best offensive player on that team as far as just scoring the ball. And Antetokounmpo is a better player, but Parker he should be the offensive go-to guy on that team. He's looked really good. He's shooting going into last night. I think he was shooting 43% from the three-point line, which we said that was huge for him. If he could get it up to like 36, 37, he's exceeded that so far. He has a nice stroke on his shot, so he should be able to keep that up. And a couple other guys, their team looked bad yesterday. And they won Friday, but these guys looked really good. Derrick Rose and Porzingis. I know we talked about Rose earlier. He's getting to the rim. He's making shots. He's finding his teammates. I think he had 11 assists against the Bulls, had 7, 8 more yesterday. So he's getting the job done. Porzingis is making shots, getting in, getting his dunks. He's looked great. As far as bad, I'm close to jumping off the bandwagon. My Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah,
they look awful. Oh God, it's terrible. I should have never been a believer in this team. I'm close to jumping off the bandwagon. They just, it's bad. Oh, one more good player, Devin Booker. 38 the other night, 39 last night, looking fantastic. He just has no help. They look awful. Bledsoe doesn't seem to be the same guy. Brandon Knight is lost.
Brandon
Knight
Knight
interested.
is on my list.
Yeah. The other, and another guy, T.J. Warren is still playing great, but Warren and Booker are the only bright spots. And Tyson Chandler. I was going to say, he's third in the league in rebounding. I think close. He's defending. So those three guys have been really good, but the rest of them, Lance, sorry, I think I got you in that trade.
Yeah,
Curry and Val. You gave me Curry and Valanciunas for Karl Anthony Towns and Bledsoe. I think that ended up working out in my favor somehow. Because Bledsoe has not been great, and Towns has just been a disappointment. He's getting some scoring, but his rebounding and his defensive numbers are down, which baffles me because he's got such a good defensive-minded coach.
Yeah, I mean,
Porzingis looks better than Towns right now.
Yeah, Towns has struggled, especially rebounding the ball. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because Zhang's next to him. But then again, they played last year next to each other. So I don't know. I don't know what it is. Rubio's out, so they're having a hard time distributing the ball around. I'm not sold on Chris Dunn as many others are. I think in 2 years he's gonna be a good point guard, but he's struggling shooting. As we talked, Gonzo, before the show, he's got the Emmanuel Mudiay syndrome. Shooting the ball, Hey,
wait. Mudiay had 24 in the first quarter last night on 9 of 10 shooting. That's an anomaly, though. It's not going to happen every day.
Now, let me clarify. Now, Mudiay's shooting when he came into the league. He's gotten a little bit better because his form looks good. He's just not hitting.
Confidence.
I don't even know that it's confidence. It's just some of the shots, just a little bit too contested for my
and you know what he might be doing? And you can't tell on TV because you're not up close. He may be shooting with his palm and not getting it on the finger pads. Yeah. And that might be the reason why you see all those just erratic shots missing in all different directions. He has no control. And you think being such a good ball handler because you dribble with your finger, the finger pads as well. You shoot, you do the same thing. You can't shoot with your palm. You're going to throw up bricks and it's going to go everywhere.
Yeah. I want to start with Dallas as well, but I want to touch on J.J. Barea, 17 points a game. He is really playing well this season. Obviously he's usually energy, but he's having to play the starters minutes because Darren Williams is hurt. But it's been all Harrison Barnes and J.J. Barea for them. Seth Curry is disappointed for me. I really thought he would be able to light it up. I really like his game. And right now he's just not doing the best job of being able to score, and he can't defend. I don't know.
And they got him playing the 2, and he's undersized anyway, so that's already hurts him.
I think effectively he's probably better at the 2 guard on the offensive end, but defensively he's not going to be able to stick a guy that's 6'6", 6'7".
Yeah.
I think he's 6'2" or 6'3", somewhere in there.
Yeah. Like you wouldn't want to put him on Jaylen Brown.
No, Jaylen Brown would kill him. Speaking of Jaylen Brown,
yeah, go ahead.
He has looked actually really good. Fill-in minutes. I think he had 19 points in his first, basically his first matchup, and I believe wasn't that the game he played against LeBron James?
Yeah, that's what impressed me the most. That his best game of the year came against the best player in the world.
Now he's going to struggle shooting the ball because he's not known as a shooter, but just being out there doing a lot of the intangibles, going for loose balls, getting rebounds, getting assists, getting in the passing lanes for some, would-be deflections, not necessarily steals, and then passing the ball. He can pass too.
Yeah, he can get to the rim. We knew that, but his shot is improving. He looks like he's going to be a good shooter.
Mm-hmm.
He's already almost a capable shooter. He looks like he could be a good shooter, though.
And a guy that's really carried the Celtics, especially with Al Horford out, is Avery Bradley. Of course, we know what Isaiah Thomas can do. He's going to score. But Avery Bradley, all his defensive, basically nuances that he's able to do throughout the game are great. But he stepped it up on the offensive end as well. He's doing pretty well distributing the ball, kind of as the, second guard in command. I know Marcus Smart was out and he just came back 2 games ago, but has looked really good this season. He's averaging about 20 points a game, close to 9 rebounds a game.
And he's on Pete's fantasy team.
Yes. And he's shooting 44% from 3, so that helps there. A guy that I wonder what is going to happen to him this season is Brook Lopez. Because it's not looked good for him in Brooklyn's system. And as I talk about Brooklyn, Rondé Hollis-Jefferson has to get a damn shooting coach because, I've never seen somebody as bad on the offensive end that's so skilled defensively and so athletic.
Is shooting the ball or just overall offensive skill set?
Shooting the ball offensively.
Is he worse than Kid Gilchrist shooting the ball, or as bad as Kid Gilchrist?
I'd say Kid Gilchrist has a better shot than he does.
Damn.
Yeah, it hasn't looked great. I think he's. I don't have the numbers right in front of me at this moment, but last time I looked, he was shooting in the 20s as far as shots
shooting.
No, I think it was just in general. Let me look that up real quick because I want to make sure I get that right. That the stats correct there. Let's see. Looking at his shooting percentage, 28.6% shooting. So
that's terrible.
Yeah, that is not good at all. Basically he's trying to shoot the 3 ball, considerable amount, which is not good. He's not a good free throw shooter, 67%. So,
there's guys on the team, they want shooting it. He's not one of them.
Right. And then one of the guys that I really, really have been impressed with, and I think he is going to get better as the season goes on because now you've got a healthy Gordon Hayward back, is George Hill. Player of the week in the NBA for the Western Conference. He's been killing it. He was out tonight with the thumb injury, but, it was a Sixer, so they can give him the little bit of the rest for that game. But, he's been electric for that team. Definitely helps to have Rudy Gobert there on the defensive end as well, to kind of clean up there. But George Hill is definitely one that is going to help Utah throughout the year. So basically averaging 21.6 assists and 3 rebounds, shooting 55% from 3-point range. You can't ask better than that. So, no, those are my guys that I've kind of looked at. And Kemba Walker is another one for Charlotte. He's been killing it. And he could make a case for it because Charlotte is is one of the top teams in the East. If they carry that through to the All-Star break, Kemba Walker can make the All-Star team.
Yep.
In the Eastern Conference. So, don't scoff at it until we get that a little bit further in the season. But Charlotte is one of those teams that's going to always bring it defensively with Kid Gilchrist, Batum, and even Kemba Walker can defend from time to time. So we'll have to see kind of how it goes. But Kemba Walker is carrying that team nonetheless. So want to kind of go over just a quick news bite that happened in the past day. Lance Stevenson ended up getting injured. He's going to be out 6 to 10 weeks. So the Pelicans actually released him and signed Archie Goodwin that used to play for the Phoenix Suns. And Alvin Gentry came out with the quote that you can ask James Ennis as far as players that get added to the team as far as how we're going to use him, which means Archie Goodwin's probably going to play anywhere from 20 to 25 minutes tonight if history kind of repeats itself there. So good luck to Archie Goodwin, and hope he is able to kind of turn it around and get some minutes there because they don't have Holiday. Hield has kind of been up and down so far, and all they
he's making strides.
You can stay positive and optimistic all you want to on Buddy Hield, but he's going to struggle like I thought he was. That's all right. He might get it as the season goes on. But want to preview some of the games that are coming up this week as we kind of wrap up the show. And like I said, we will be back Wednesday and kind of give you a breakdown of some of the games that happened tonight and tomorrow, and any games that are ongoing as Wednesday gets here. But looking at some of the games tonight that are remaining, you've got Detroit against the Clippers at 10:30, and you've got the New Orleans Pelicans against Golden State. So,
yes,
Gonzo, I'm going to go to you first, real quick, and who do you see winning that Clippers Pistons game? We'll start with that one.
Clippers. Yeah.
Blew out by the Clippers. Okay, Matt, how about you?
I'm going Detroit.
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna go Clippers here. Narrow win. I think they win by less than 5 points. I think that Andre Drummond has a good game, but I think that CP3 is going to be too much for Ish Smith and kind of the backcourt there. What about Golden State and the Pelicans? Do the Pelicans somehow get their first win tonight, Gonzo?
Not a chance. Blowout again. Anthony Davis has been kind of he's not been so good lately. I think
he's coming back down to earth.
Yeah, he's coming back down to earth because there's just too much weight on a person's shoulders to think that he would have to score 35 to 40-some points a game just to keep him in it. He really needs help. And right now he doesn't have it. The closest thing that you can call help maybe on his team is probably Tim Frazier. That's probably the closest thing you're going to get to help for him right now. Buddy Hield is a bust, and I don't see him getting any better.
Damn.
So, yeah, Warriors blowout.
Okay. Matt, any chance the Warriors?
Had they not had a bad game against the Lakers, I would have thought it would be pretty close, this one. But I think because they played so bad and shot so poorly, I believe the Warriors will win in blowout fashion. Klay Thompson's going to come alive tonight. Curry's not going 0 for 10 again. He's going to come alive. Durant's going to be fantastic again. Buddy Hield's going to go for 20-plus tonight, though.
Wow.
20-plus for Buddy Hield. I'm calling it.
I'm going to go on the other end and say Ian Clark would get 20-plus before Buddy Hield would get 20-plus. But I think actually tonight, I think is going to be Klay Thompson's night.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to end up getting anywhere from 20 to 24 points, kind of get some rhythm back because the Pelicans don't have great perimeter defenders. I think, the Golden State can give up points to Anthony Davis. That's great. But who else is really going to step up and score for that team? Come on, is Solomon Hill going to put up some points? I don't really see that happening. Tim Frazier might get a couple, easy looks, having Steph Curry, kind of guard him from time to time. But Kevin Durant's going to put up a good 27, or so. Blowout by the Warriors. I don't think the Pelicans have much of a chance. And the time is ticking for Alvin Gentry. The team has kind of given up on him if you watch some of the body language in the huddles.
He's going to be the first casualty.
Yeah, I predicted it. I threw it out there. So, not sure kind of what happens long term, but we'll see. Looking at Tuesday night's games, you've got the Atlanta Hawks playing, and I just clicked off of the thing by accident, so I just lost.
Play the Cavs.
They're playing the Cavaliers. Matt, who do you think they have in that game?
Oh God, that's going to be a blowout. The Hawks just do not match up well with this Cleveland team, and so I'm calling it blowout. It's not going to be close. It's going to be an ugly game. Not fun to watch, unless you're a Cavs fan.
Okay, Gonzo, who do you got?
I got Atlanta by 2.
Oh, yes.
Okay. I was going to go spoiler and say the Hawks end up winning.
Wow.
I was going to say just because I think Dwight Howard has a dominant game, and you're actually probably not going to see Kyle Korver. I think he's going to sit out from what I read. But I think 2 guys are going to step into his place and really pick up production. I think Tim Hardaway Jr. has a good game, and Malcolm Delaney has a solid game, kind of sliding over a little bit to the 2-guard spot and playing well there. Not sure they beat the Cavs by much, but I think the Cavaliers, their problem is going to be they take the game too lightly, and they end up, kind of giving that game up. Looking at you've got the Nuggets and the Grizzlies, which basically the Nuggets are 3-3, and the Grizzlies are 3-4. Who do you guys have, Matt? Who do you have, Denver or Memphis taking that game?
Denver or Memphis? I'm going to go with the Nuggets. I'm just not impressed with Memphis. I wasn't really impressed with them going into the year. They haven't disappointed me. I think they're just – I don't like this Memphis team. Denver is they're starting to – they're looking a little better, Pete. They may compete for that 8 seed because they do look better. Gary Harris will be – I think he's back.
Yeah,
coming off the bench.
Back.
Yeah. If they can get something out of Jamal Murray, which I'm not going to hold my breath on that because I didn't see what the whole fuss was coming into the draft. I think he's just awful. But they're a little better than I thought they'd be. So I'm going with the Nuggets.
Yeah. Gonzo, Memphis or Denver?
I really don't know because me personally, I think that both of these teams are competing for a draft pick. I'm going to go with Denver.
Okay. I've got Denver just because I was high on them, like I said.
Yes.
I think with the healthy Gary Harris, and Moutier has actually looked good scoring the ball. Lately, Jokic is the one that's kind of taken the hit with Nurkic in the middle. And Wilson Chandler's thrived off the bench, kind of sliding between the 3 and the 4. And Fareed's able to play the center, which he didn't play a lot of minutes last game. So curious to see what happens there. But Memphis, oh man, they can't rely on a guy like Zach Randolph off the bench to really kind of be their go-to playing a 6-man role. They've got to get more production out of the starting unit. Chandler Parsons looks like he couldn't even jump off the floor at all coming back, so he doesn't look right. So I don't know.
They're not a very good team.
Yeah, I don't know. And I love David Fizdale as a coach. I'm not high on them right now. I think they've got a lot of things that they need to work on.
He doesn't have a lot to work with. Let's just be honest.
No, he doesn't. But looking at Mike Conley and Marc Gasol and Zach Randolph, those guys should get you at least 43, 44 wins in the West. And, when you say that, you're kind of counting on guys sprinkled in there averaging 6, 7 points a game. But when you're having to start early in the year, Andrew Harrison, that's not good.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
Yeah, that is not
like
good.
him.
He is not in the rotation now as Wade Baldwin's the backup, and then Tony Allen's back healthy, so he's starting. But just give me 0 minutes.
That's crazy how a guy, you have a couple injuries. You don't want to start Wade Baldwin because I guess they're frail. He's a rookie, don't throw. So what you do is you start a non-rotation guy just because Tony Allen's out. So let's play a non-rotation guy 30 minutes a game.
Right. And then, so looking at some other games, kind of intriguing game. It's not going to be great basketball by any means, but I'm intrigued to see what Tom Thibodeau can do against the Brooklyn Nets. Maybe get his team some confidence.
Yes.
Minnesota's playing against Brooklyn. I don't think by any means Brooklyn's a rollover team because I love Sean Kilpatrick as a sixth man off the bench, and I actually like Joe Harris out of University of Virginia. But Lopez has not done much this year. Ronnie Hollis-Jefferson is not.
Jeremy Lin's hurt.
Looked good. Yeah, Jeremy Lin's hurt. They're having to play Isaiah Whitehead at point guard. So, I mean, that's not the best option either.
No.
Gonzo, who do you have out of Minnesota versus Brooklyn?
Give me Brooklyn. I'm going to go Brooklyn.
Brooklyn? Okay. Matt, how about you?
I'm going with my Minnesota Timberwolves in blowout fashion.
You want that Timberwolves to get
you notice I'm calling them my Timberwolves. I can't jump off the bandwagon yet. Maybe at All-Star break if they're sitting at like 10 and 27, 10 and 40, then I can jump off the bandwagon, but not yet.
Yeah. I think this is the game where Karl Anthony Towns, he gets going because Brook Lopez is not going to be able to do anything on the defensive end. And Karl Anthony Towns can take him out a little bit towards the perimeter. And the key is going to be I want to see more out of Chris Dunn shooting the ball, picking his spots, not trying to force it, and being able to set his teammates up in good spots. Because this team, as athletic as they are, should be able to outrun teams similar to what the Lakers are doing, run up and down, score, but they're not doing it. Speaking of the Lakers, that's the last game I'm going to touch on for Tuesday. Shout out to Lance and his Dallas Mavericks for getting their first win.
Mm-hmm.
Do they, Matt, I'm going to go to you first. Do the Mavericks take out the Lakers to get their second win of the season, or do the Lakers go and get their fifth win?
I think the Lakers get their fifth win.
Okay.
Just too many injuries for Dallas. And LA, they play hard, so I'm going to go with the Lakers.
All right. Gonzo, Lakers or Mavs?
Lake Show all day.
Okay. I want to give it to the Lakers and be unanimous, but I like to go kind of the opposite of everybody. Dallas pulls the shocker. I think this is a game that you're going to see some of the role guys like a Dwight Powell step in, score some extra points, and kind of be able to step up there. Seth Curry even maybe hitting double digits and scoring because the Lakers are going to run on them. But I got to go devil's advocate and just say that, the Mavericks pull it out just to get their second win.
Nice.
Just because I think, like I said, they're better than what they've showed due to injuries. So that takes us into Wednesday. Just going to cover some of maybe the key games there. Jazz and Hornets, because the Hornets are 5-1 in the East right now, and looking at the Jazz, they're got Gordon Hayward back. Gonzo, who do you think takes that out of Charlotte and Utah?
He popped out real quick.
Okay, Matt, who you got?
So we got I'll take the Jazz.
Jazz? Okay. Yeah, I've got the Jazz sneaking that win in. They're going to be top 4 or 5 in the West. I fully believe the Jazz are that good once they get fully healthy.
There, he's back.
Okay. Hey, Gonzo, so who do you have, Hornets and Jazz?
Jazz.
Jazz? Okay. Let's see. Looking at all right, do you think the Raptors are going to be able to stop Russ and the Thunder in that game, Gonzo, on Wednesday?
I think this is one of those tests. I mean, although I don't think Toronto is like a competitive team and they'll make it to like a final championship or something like that, I think they can beat OKC. Because you have Westbrook. Westbrook's going to play selfish. I think they can beat the team. I think a lot of these top teams can beat OKC. I think Charlotte can beat OKC. The Bulls can beat OKC. If they're playing team ball, I think the Knicks can beat OKC.
Okay.
The Knicks are really good if they actually play team basketball.
What about you, Matt? You got Thunder or Raptors?
I'm going Oklahoma City Thunder. I picked them against the Clippers. I'm taking them over the Raptors. Give me the Thunder.
Yeah,
I'm on the bandwagon. I'm with Rick Bucher.
I'm going Raptors just because I want to. I'm not a big fan of somebody, just bullying their way in the lane and trying to take over. Make your teammates better. I want to see. I'm not a big fan of the Raptors either, but I'd rather see the Raptors win than the Oklahoma City Thunder. So I'm going Raptors. Narrow victory.
Fair. That's fair.
Let's talk about the Battle of New York. I guess it's not much of a battle because the Knicks are playing Brooklyn, who's not as good as the Knicks. But could Brooklyn pull a shocker and take out the Knicks, Matt?
No, not going to happen. I'm sticking with my Knicks. I'm sticking with this 50-win Knicks. They're going to win.
All right.
Another monster game from Porzingis. Another good game from Rose. Carmelo. He's going to beat Carmelo.
Okay. Gonzo, does Brooklyn take out New York?
Brooklyn, absolutely.
Yes.
Nice.
Melo's the problem.
I'm going to say playing in Madison Square Garden. I'm going to go Knicks narrow defeat over Brooklyn. I don't think they blow them out or anything like that, but I think Brooklyn's going to be right there defensively. But Porzingis and Derrick Rose are just going to be too much for Brooklyn, especially I think Derrick Rose is able to kind of go off in this game based on the matchup at the point guard spot with no Jeremy Lin on the other side. Chicago Bulls and Atlanta Hawks. That'll be the last game we preview because we'll save some of the later games for our Wednesday podcast. Bulls and Hawks. Gonzo.
Hawks
taking out the Bulls. Okay. Matt, Bulls or Hawks?
Well, the last couple years, history tells us that the Bulls have matched up pretty poorly with the Atlanta Hawks, but this is a different Bulls team than the last couple years. The roster obviously proves that, so I'm going to go with the Bulls in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to say narrow defeat of the Hawks by the Bulls. I think Wade and Butler combined, just too much. And I think Rondo actually gets a high assist game in that one. And Mirotic off the bench ends up giving you anywhere from 15 to 18 off the bench. Good shooting night for them, and they take out the Hawks. But I do think the Hawks are a lot better looking team with Dwight Howard at center than they looked with Al Horford, especially on the defensive end. And Horford's looked rejuvenated for once, and he's finally not crying about everything.
You mean Howard?
Howard, that's what I meant. Yeah, Howard has looked rejuvenated, and he's not crying about everything. In the game, smacking his hands to try to get touches. He's actually getting the ball in decent spots and able to score. And then he's rebounding well, too. So Horford, unfortunately, he's injured, so haven't been able to see much. But I will say the Celtics have looked really bad without him under center. I don't know if that's a coincidence or not, but we'll have to see. But I had high hopes for Boston this season, and so far it's been a little bit of a letdown. So we'll have to see what happens. Well, gentlemen, this is probably it for us, unless either one of you got anything you want to add in, any topics or anything you want to bring up for.
I'm just going to throw. I don't want this to be a discussion or anything because the Warriors are about to come on. I'm going to watch this game and see Buddy Hield get 20 plus, like I called. Let's just all hope that when we wake up Wednesday morning, it's not President Trump.
Nice. All right, Gonzo, what you got?
Me personally, I really don't care who's the president. Who's the president? Because it's really a clown show, to be honest.
I have to agree. I don't care.
The world doesn't go up in flames, man. Hopefully, everybody, no matter who the candidate is, hopefully everybody can be peaceful. Whether you're black, white, racist, gay, it makes no difference. It's just let's keep peace with one another, regardless of what we believe in.
Absolutely. I mean, we all united and came together, through the love of sports and the love of the NBA. We can at least be civil to each other, and and get all this hatred and stuff away, and just be civil, for the most part. But want to let everybody know that you can go to YouTube. You can go to the Unquestionably Raw page. You can find all of our podcasts on there. Basically, all our season previews, all of our shows up until this evening, including this one. Please like the videos, subscribe to the channel, and leave us a comment or two underneath the video. Let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, maybe some topics we can focus on for future podcasts. And for those that have inquired, a couple more weeks to go, and we will get you on the podcast. We will start integrating new people in, maybe even sooner than that. We have an idea of some few that we're trying to get on that have reached out long ago, or we've reached out and just now able to get on. So we're going to be integrating different people in for different discussions. Go to the iTunes podcast page. Go to Unquestionably Raw. Please leave us a 5-star review. Subscribe to the channel. And leave us a little bit of a written review, because that helps. We're still trying to nail down the actual sponsorships for the show. Those are coming soon. And until then, basically, hope everybody has a great night watching the Golden State Warriors and New Orleans Pelicans. And we will be back Wednesday evening. We're not sure what time, but we'll get it tweeted out to everybody on all of our channels. So until then, it's been the Unquestionably Raw podcast, and we will see you Wednesday.